Hello everyone. Today we're going to introduce this topic, the clause. Now, let's know about clauses, types of clauses. Now, first thing first, the clause is a word group that contains a verb and its subject, and that is used as a sentence or as a part of a sentence. So remember that it's a word group that contains verb and a subject. Sometimes it is independent clause, so we can use it as a sentence, and sometimes it's a subordinate clause or dependent clause, so it is a part of a sentence. What I said about the independent and subordinate, they are types of clauses. We have the first one, the independent clause. An independent clause is a clause that can stand alone as a sentence because it expresses a complete thought. Remember that a clause has a subject and a verb. Because it can stand alone in a sentence and it expresses a complete thought, we call it independent clause. Here, as you can see in this example, the secret of life is honesty. Now, this is an independent clause. From the word independent, it can stand alone. The secret of life, you have here the subject, it is the verb, so we have the subject, we have the verb, and honesty is the complement. So it's full sentence, meaningful. You can understand it. This is why we call it independent clause. While in the second one, we have two parts. One of them dependent clause and the other one is the independent clause. If you can fake that, you've got it made. The first part, if you can fake that, it is dependent clause. It couldn't be a sentence because it does not express a complete thought. If we say, if you can fake that and you stop here, you can understand anything from this one. It's not meaningful. While the second part, it is independent clause, you've got it made. You can understand something from it, and you have the subject, you have the verb, and you have the thought. So the you've got it made, this is independent clause in this sentence. Let's do subordinate clause. Now, subordinate clause, or what we call it dependent clause, is one that cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. It does not express a complete thought. So it's the quite opposite of independent. Dependent cannot stand alone in a sentence. Now, we have two types of dependent clauses, adjective clause and adverb clause. Let's do the adjective one. An adjective clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a noun or a pronoun. From the word adjective clause, it's an adjective, so basically it describes a noun or a pronoun. Now, an adjective clause is usually introduced by relative pronouns such as who, where, that, whoever, what, which, whose. So remember that the adjective clause is a dependent clause and it describes a noun or a pronoun and it starts with who, where, that, whoever, what, which, whose, the relative pronouns. Let's see some examples. The first one here, the rat that John saw yesterday was in the kitchen earlier. Now, that John saw yesterday, we have three traits to know if this is an adjective clause. First, the relative pronoun, and we have it here, the word that. John, it is the subject, so it is the verb. So all the phrase that John saw yesterday, it's the information, it's like information about the noun, the rat. So that John saw yesterday, it is an adjective clause describing the rat, which is the noun. Now, the adverb clause. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause that modifies a verb, an adjective, or an adverb, like any other adverb, but as a clause. The first example we have, the otter surfaced occasionally. Now, this is a normal adverb. Occasionally, it's a normal adverb that describing like the word surfaced, which is the verb in the sentence. Well, in the second example, the otter surfaced when we looked the other way. Now, the phrase when we looked the other way, it is a dependent adverb clause. It still tells us when the otter surface. This time though, the adverb is an adverb clause. We have when we looked the other way. All these words acting in this sentence as an adverb clause, dependent adverb clause describing the verb surfaced. Now remember that the dependent adverb clause is like a group of words that functions as an adverb, contains a subject and a verb, and cannot stand alone as a sentence. Like you can see here in this example, I will bury this treasure where the crocodiles live. Now, where it is the introduction of the adverb clause. Okay, it tells you where exactly. So where the crocodiles live, the crocodiles, it's the subject, live, it is the verb. Together, they are dependent adverb clause describing the verb will bury. Now, types of adverb clauses. Now, the adverb clause is usually introduced by when, whenever, before, after, until, while, since, as, like to indicate the time. So after the crop is harvested, it is sold at the market. After the crop, so after here, introduced the adverb clause here to indicate the time or the time order. The second way, it is the place. The type is a place by where and wherever. The example here, wherever there are computers, there is component made in Taiwan. So wherever there are computers, it indicates the place. The third one is the cause. By because, since, in order that. I didn't tell her because I wanted to keep the secret. Because I wanted to keep the secret. This way we introduce the adverb clause. So remember, the types of adverb clause is time, place, and cause. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time.